What's good, man? Welcome to the Refill. Welcome to the Refill. I'm your host, Ron Daniel, man. We got another great show. We got another great episode for you today, man. We're going to get into this thing, man. Listen, man, we got another great show, man. We made it. We made it to the end of our first season. We didn't know how we was going to get here, but we got here. And we made it, man. Tonight's show gonna be a little bit different. We're gonna talk about a couple of things, man. I got on my heart. I didn't want to do a show, you know, what we normally come on. We have artists and guests. We do have some shows that was already pre-recorded. We're getting into the pre-recorded side now because some artists, a lot of artists, they still work jobs. And so, we have to pre-record some of the artists and bring them on. We bring them on season 2, so I'll talk about that later. But we're glad y'all tuned in, man. We're glad y'all checking out the show. Check this out, man. We made it to season 1. We at the end of season 1. And for everybody who's been coming on week after week after week for a whole year, you already know how we get down and what we do and what we talk about. And we're glad, that you continue to support what we're doing. We're glad that you continue to come back every week, man, because you could be doing something else on your Wednesday and Thursday nights, but you chose to come hang out with us for about an hour. So we're glad y'all done that. We're glad y'all do that. We're glad y'all do that every week, man. But for those who just not tuning in, this is a podcast that represents and talk about everything in the Christian hip hop space. This podcast represent and highlight the DJs, the artists, the producers, the promoters, the influencers, and everybody who make Christian hip-hop move global wide. Listen, man, tonight we're going to get into this topic, man. We just talking about the end of the show. We're gonna talk about a little bit. Well, I'm going to talk about a little bit, what I've learned in 1 year of podcasting. And so it haven't been an easy journey. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. I'm going to talk about, the ups, the downs. I'm going to get into some of that. And, and then towards the end of the podcast, I'm going to get into, what we getting into, what we're looking forward to in season 2, man. We learned a lot. We got a lot of feedback. We got a lot of good ideas for season 2. So we can go and continue for another year. So we're gonna talk about that a little bit too. But before we do, man, we are every week we always talk about. We always do some house cleaning. We ask everyone that tuned in, man, to like our page. We appreciate almost close to 400 subscribers to the page, and we actually do just come on board, check out what we're doing. Check out the show, like the page, so you can stay in the loop as far as what we're doing and what we got going on. When the shows come out, when the new episodes come out, whatever we got going on event-wise, we are adding more events. In season 2, we're going to do some new things. We're going to talk about just a little bit, but we're glad y'all tuned in, man. Listen, also, if you haven't donated to the show. Donate to the show. People do donate to the show. People always ask us, hey, do people donate to the show? I'm like, yeah. They do donate. Cash App, VENMO, PayPal. People do donate to the show. And so, donate to the show. Any amount would do. It help us stay on. Your donations, for everyone who's watching that's donated to the show, your donations help us help us to get to the end of this season into season 2. And then the last thing is, if you want to be featured on the show, you see some information scrolling at the bottom. Just email us your media kit, your music, what you're talking about, short bio, some profile pics so we can check out what you're doing, and we put you in the game. We don't make it hard. We don't make this podcast hard for anybody to get on. We make it easy. Oh, look, I'm bumping into everything. So we make it easy for whoever want to get on the show, they can get on the show. We don't make it hard at all. But if you want to get on, you can come on. We just want to check out what you're doing, and then we go from there. Now, we're going to get into the show today. We're going to get into the business of the show. And while we're here today, today is our last day for season 1. We not quitting the podcast space. This is just the finale of season 1. Man, we appreciate everybody. First of all, for just the vision of God. Sometimes God will give you something to do, and you have to do it. So you have to just get out here, walk in faith, and just do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the first and foremost. I thank God for just the vision to do this. And then the second thing is the team. You gotta have people around you that believe in what you're doing. If they don't believe in what you're doing, then you may not want to fool with them. I'm just being for real. Because I'm grown. I view things different now. I really, celebrate people that help out anything that we put our hands on to try to make work. So our team here at Divine Seven Entertainment, people that's working behind the scenes that y'all don't see, manning the page, sharing things, liking things, make sure, the artists are in place. So I appreciate the team for helping us out through this whole year. I tell everybody, man, we just not getting started. We just now really tapping into this podcast space. We started in October 2020, while everybody was still kind of sitting in the house. And we actually started the planning phase. It was summer 2020, like around June, July 2020. We started planning the podcast. We started, buying things and buying microphones, cables, and all kind of things to make this show work. I bought extra cameras, extra computer monitors. Like in this, we're sitting in an actual podcast studio, and in this studio we have like 4 monitors that we have to man down. One behind the camera, we have one here, and there that you don't see, that we have to man down to make sure that the show runs well. Because once we click the button and we rolling, we can't stop and, hold on and time out. This ain't sports where we get a time out and we get to go set up for the next play. So once we click the button, man, we go on. So I'm thankful for everyone on that's affiliated with Divine Seven Entertainment. Also, one more thing, I'm thankful for all the artists that said yes to coming on the podcast, because one thing I tell people, man, is that when you asking for the yes, you gonna run into a lot of no's. You're gonna run into a lot of people that they just don't see it, or they saying, hey, get your numbers up and then we'll get on your show. And I get that. I understand. We new to the game, but I tell people, when we really get this thing rolling, it's gonna roll. And I believe we've made a lot of good progress in a year. So we've had over 50 artists, DJs, influencers, promoters, people that make Christian hip hop move. We've had them on the show, and I've done a lot of solo shows myself. I won't say I've done maybe 8 or 9 solo shows, which was cool. Also doing this, while we had to start this podcast, my daddy died back in February. He passed away and transitioned on with the Lord. So the next week later, I had to get back on the podcast and keep it up. So shout out to my papa, because he would come up here. He seen when we was building this podcast before he passed away. So he got a chance to see, what was going on in the studio, in both studios. So he got a chance to see that. So shout out to Pop. You know, I don't want to tap too much in that, but he passed away back in February of this year while we're doing the podcast. And so 1 week later, I had to, continue the show. I took a small break, but we had to continue the show because I believe he would say that. He would say, man, keep pushing. That's him. He said, man, keep doing your thing. And we also, during this time, this is new. You know what I'm saying? I tell everyone the Christian hip hop space, even though it's old to us, it's still new to a lot of people because a lot of people still frown on it. A lot of people still kind of, they still kind of shun it. And I understand. I get it. I understand why, people, they going to think what they going to think about it. And I get it. I get that. And so, when we first set out to do this podcast, listen, we've never done a podcast. I've never done a podcast. I've been on a couple of them, but I've never put one together. And so for me, it was something new. It was a new challenge, just trying to figure out how to put this together. In the Christian hip-hop space, I'm also an artist and a label owner in the space. So I understand the Christian hip-hop space. I understand it fully. I know how it works. I know the mindset of the artists. I know the mindset of the DJs. I understand the mindset of the promoters. And I understand the mindset of people that just don't understand. They just don't get down with it. And I've done so much convincing over the years, just telling people, hey, man, give it a shot. No, it ain't. We ain't talking about trapping. We ain't talking about robbing and stealing and killing. But if you listen to the music, I believe you will get in tune with it, and I believe you'll like it. So that's been my whole approach for years, just getting people that don't understand what Christian hip-hop is, just trying to convince them to just give it a try. You know what I'm saying? Just check it out. If it's me giving them my own music or they buying my music or downloading it, however, I'm turning them on to events. I'm turning them on to other artists that I know, other artists that I think that are dope and that are good representatives of the Christian hip-hop space. So I've done a lot of turning on people to artists and people, just checking out what we doing. So, when we first started, we didn't know, what to expect. Now, anything, I'm going to say this, and you have to know me to know when I say this, so to some people it's going to sound arrogant. Anything I work on, I push I shoot for excellence with it. I shoot for the gold standard, the platinum standard. You see what I'm saying? I don't just put things together just to put it together, just because, okay, let's just try something and see if we can throw it on the wall and see if it's going to stick. No, I don't get down like that. Like watching this podcast, and I know y'all see it, whoever watching this, we invested a lot of money. We invested a lot of a lot of money designing how this virtual set look like. We invested money in this microphone that you see. Everyone don't have this particular microphone. I was inspired by this by this particular microphone. Actually, watching the Ricky Smiley show. Ricky Smiley, the comedian, he was on one day some years ago, and I was like, man, what kind of mic is that he's using? I said, I like that microphone. It looked professional. And so I did some research, I found it, and I bought it. And so I said, so if we're going to look good, we're gonna look good for real. And so, again, when we was challenged with creating a podcast, I've never done this before. I've never, I can rap my butt off. I can get on stage and rap with the best of them. I can do that. I can mix and master and produce music. I can do that. I can run a label, manage artists, done that. But doing the podcast space, it was something new. But I also understood taking this on, how serious this is taking this on. So for me, it wasn't, let's put a podcast together and let's just see if we can make it work for a couple of weeks. We've been podcasting since October 2020. That's 1 year. And so we're at episode 58 right now. And so just figuring all this out week after week, meeting some dope artists, and now a lot of artists that we've done, we've done a podcast with friends now. We exchanged information, we text, we talk, and all those good things. So that's another cool thing about doing a podcast like this. You get to meet artists from all over the place. We've had artists featured here in the United States, DJs, promoters, artists. Even in Africa, that was big for us, because who's like, hey, we got an artist from Africa on there, Zambia, Africa. Shout out to Suya. And so that's his name, to Shuya. And so we had, this is great. I love doing the podcast because we need media in the Christian hip hop space. We need media. We have some media, but we don't have a lot of media. Versus if we was making a trap album, right? If I'm making the best hood trap album I can make, then there's a lot of media for that. I can send my music to the DJs, to the program directors. I can send my music to the strip club DJs and wherever, the street promoters. They have a what I like to call a music web of just where you could just shoot music out and it's gonna go where it's gonna go. But in the Christian hip hop space, there are a lot of dope artists, music producers, and I can just sit here and just name a ton of them that I listen to, and a ton of them that I'm a fan of myself. I'm not just the artist. I'm a fan too. A lot of these artists, I think they dope. But we just don't have the outlets. We don't have a lot of outlets to challenge the outlets that just your regular, normal trap rappers. I call them regular rappers. They just talking about regular stuff every day. What they talking about. We don't have those outlets. So what we looking to do here with this podcast is build it up until it become a strong media outlet for artists, DJs, promoters, where they can come and they have a home where they can talk about whatever they got going on, and they can come at any time. I know I just give y'all a little bit about the vision I have for this podcast. We want to bring on other guests, to the show. Other guests that love Christian hip hop, that understand Christian hip hop, they get it. We can bring them on from time to time. Maybe they become the host. Fine with me. We just building a media space. So for the artists, for the DJs, for the promoters, for the influencers. So when they think about Divine Self Entertainment, they think about the Refill podcast, they know, hey, they're an ally in this Christian hip hop space. So that's why we do it. We're based in the South. I love the South. For those who been coming on the show, I'm South. Everything that's in my walk is in my talk. It is what it is. But we're building this here in the South to stretch globally, to stretch out globally and reach places globally, reach countries, continents, cities, states, towns, wherever, hedges, highways, wherever people are. That's the beauty of the internet now. You can reach people where they are now. You don't need to necessarily pack up and go to these bigger cities or more established media cities to get things done. You can do things where you are. And so tonight, what I want to talk about just a little bit is, what did I learn podcasting for 1 year? What did I get out of this? What did I see? What did I what did I learn? What I'm saying? I learned patience. That's number one. I learned to be patient. That's the key. I learned to be patient. Another thing is I learned to, continue to hold Christian hip hop down, hold it up. I'm holding it down for Christian hip hop. So I've learned to continue to just hold it down, hold up that banner. Hold up that flag and wave that flag and let everybody know, hey, Christian hip hop is here and it ain't going nowhere. You know, I've been in the Christian hip hop space for since 03, 04. So I've been in it. I'm soaked in it. That's 17, 18 years in the game. So, and I've been blessed to go everywhere around the country, around the U.S. and Mexico. So I've been there, done that. I've seen things. I've seen how, you know, Christian hip hop move here in the United States, how it moved globally. You know, so I've seen it. I've been in the hedges and the highways. I've been on the big stages, and when there's just a couple of people in the crowd. Been there and done that. Inside, outside, big churches, big venues, small venues, barely no venue. So I understand the Christian hip hop space. I get it. Now here's the thing that what I learned too, patience, holding it down, letting the artists, I also learned to let artists have an outlet for where they can just speak their mind. You know what I'm saying? Just, they can come on, they can say, hey, you know, I just want to get this off my chest, whatever it is. So that's what we building too. I'm not into numbers, so to say. I'm not into the likes and the comments. You know, I know what I've seen too is some shows get a lot of views and some shows get a few views, but you can't let that deter you from reaching the goal. See, my goal is to build a company, a media company that will sustain through time. You see what I'm saying? So I'm in it for the long haul. I'm not in it for just a season, get in, get out, unless the Lord tell me to stop. See what I'm saying? So I understand the Christian hip hop artists. I understand the whole industry of it. I understand the industry, the ins and outs. I get it, and that's why we're building this platform to help the artists, to help the DJs, to help the promoters, to help the influencers, and to help anybody who want to help Christian hip hop, the industry of it, the artists, the like they say, the pageantry, all that good stuff. You know, I'm in it for that. That's why we built this podcast. So what I've learned in a year is, and I'm looking at some notes over here on the side, what I've learned in a year is being patient, building something to help the artists get whatever's on their mind, get it off their chest, you know, and talk about what's going on and have healthy conversation. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we don't want to talk. We see the problems, we see the issues, but I'm like, hey, let's talk about it, and let's see if we can come to a solution. So that's another reason why we built this podcast, and we're continuing to build this podcast so the artists can get it off their chest. Tips on how to stay consistent. That's another thing. I just spoke about being consistent, but I hear a lot of people talking about being consistent, but they really don't understand what that really means to be consistent. I talk to a lot of people that you know, they want to start something. They really don't have the money. They really don't have, they say they don't have the money. They say they don't have the time. They say they don't have the resources to get things done. So what I tell people is this, you know, start where you are. I'm blessed, and I'm not saying I'm better than nobody else. I'm just saying I'm blessed to have office space where I have studios. I have a studio behind this camera y'all looking at, and I have a studio right here in this podcast studio. They're both studios, professional studios where customers come in here on a daily basis to get services done. You know, they come to purchase services. So I have studios, but a lot of people don't have studios. So what do you do if you want to start a podcast? What do you do? How do you stay consistent? How do you get the money for it? How do you buy the things that you need? What I tell everyone is, you know, you have to start where you are. Start with what you have. And if you can't, everything starts with content and what you gonna talk about. And I'm just not talking about in the Christian hip hop space tonight. I'm just talking about whatever you want to talk about. Whoever looking at this, everything starts with content. There's a fan base. There are people out there. There's a base for everything in this world. If somebody talking about, I give you an example, and I may say this wrong, so y'all gotta excuse me if I'm not saying this right. There's this thing called AMSR, I think that's what it's called, where people watch other people eat and chew food. I was turned on to that. Now, I'm not a fan of it. It ain't my thing, but I was turned on to it maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I was turned on to that, and I was like, what is this? People actually watching people eat food. So that showed me years ago that there's a base for everything out here. There's a base of people, fan base of people for anything in this earth, good or bad. So what I tell people, man, you have to start with content. You got to know what you want to talk about. And then the second thing, you need a camera because people want to see it and hear it. Now, what I tell people is I have high-end cameras in here, but you can also use these smartphones. This is a Note 20. Now, a lot of people don't have a Note 20. This ain't boasting to brag, and I got a Note 20 in my hand. This is what this is. This is a Galaxy Note 20 Ultra G5, 5G. And the camera quality on this phone, somebody calling me now, the camera quality on this phone, it's starting to rival that of a high-end camera, like the camera y'all looking at now. So if I wanted to, I can actually take this phone and I can put it on the tripod and I can actually film and do what I'm doing with this phone. I just have to turn off the phone setting so won't nobody call me while the show going on. That ain't gonna be good. So with this thing, if you have a smartphone, everybody have a smartphone. Use your smartphone and start filming. Don't start in your room, your bedroom, living room, garage, in your car, whatever. I've seen people that now have 1 million followers. All they do is film in their car. They sit in their car and they just talk about whatever. Whatever, whenever, however. That's what they do. So you have to start. You have to also, you gotta fight your fears. And you gotta not worry about what people gonna say about you, how they gonna perceive you, how they gonna think about you. Somebody said something a long time ago that made, to me, super sense. They said, the moment you open your mouth, people gonna already judge you the moment you open your mouth, whatever you talk about. I tell people all the time, English wasn't my thing. My language is chopped and screwed. I'm not the best orator of words. I know how to get my point across. I've been in business since July 2004, and I'm speaking about business. Some of the accounts that we have on the business side, on the website production side, media production side, I just tell people, hey, get me in the room. I can either convince you to work with me, or you gonna say you almost convinced me to work with you, because people are spending big money and they gotta trust you know what you're doing. That's what it boils down to. So you have to fight your fears. You have to fight your fear. Everybody's fearful. You can't worry about how people gonna perceive you and what people gonna think about you. If you want to do a podcast, if you want to start a podcast, start where you are. If you can't buy a high-end camera, if you can't buy a Canon camera, the big C300 or a Canon D70 from Best Buy or a camera store in your city, you got the smartphone. These rival. These smartphones are now in direct competition with the DSLR cameras. They're in direct competition with the camcorders now. People are making movies with the smartphones now. I saw a commercial where the guy was on the movie he was on the commercial making a movie with the new iPhone 13. I said, I see what they doing. Now they're trying to say, our phone camera quality rivals that of a high-end camera. And it look good. The finished product look good. So I'm giving you tips on how to start a podcast. Start where you are. Talk about what you want to talk about. Listen, I talk about Christian hip-hop. I also talk about business. I also talk about ministry things. I also talk about hair industry things. You see what I'm saying? So I can talk about a lot of things. Investing. I talk about real estate investing. So I can talk about a lot of things. And that's what I love about the time we live in. That's one of the things I love about the social media space. You can talk about whatever, and you will get a following from people that are interested in what you're talking about and the content you're making. There's a base for everybody. Also, with your camera, you're going to need some lighting. A lot of people, if you're trying to be professional, if you're trying to create a professional podcast, you got to have good lights. You can get good lights from Home Depot, Lowe's. You can go anywhere, Harbor Freight. You can go anywhere to get good light. And you have to know how to set them up to light the subject. I'm the subject of the podcast, or if I had a visitor right here, because we got enough space to add in a visitor, that's why the screen wide. The screen y'all see is wide because soon when COVID died down, we're going to bring in people. They're going to drive into the studio and they're going to come talk. And we got another mic that look just like this right there. So when they come in, we got enough space to host at least 2 other people. And it's not cramped at all. So you have to have good lighting. You got to have good camera, good lighting, good content. And then just put it out there. Start your YouTube channel. Listen, we done this entire podcast strictly on Facebook Live for a whole year. Now we just now getting into, okay, now we got our YouTube channel up. So let's put all our videos on YouTube. People was inboxing and saying, hey man, where's the YouTube channel? That's okay, it's getting there, one step at a time. We're not in a rush to build this. It's one step at a time. You can't build a house. You can't rush and build a house. If you rush and build a house, it'll fall down. The moment the first storm hit it, it's over. All the bricks gonna fall down. All the siding gonna fall off. If you got solar panels on your roof, they flying in the wind. So you gotta build things right. You gotta build things the correct way. You gotta be patient. Take your time. Make sure your steps are good. Make sure your instructions are good. Make sure you're building smart. So, if you want to start your podcast, go ahead and do it. You get your camera. You got the smartphone. You have your smartphone. If you can't get the high-end cameras like we have in here, we got Canons all around the studio, high-end Canons. So Canon cameras. So if you can't get the Canon cameras, it's okay. Use your smartphone. Get you some good lighting, get you some good content, and put it out there. Now, what's next for season 2? I'm looking at my notes. I'm not going to stay on it long, but what's next for season 2? Today is the last day, the finale of podcast. And I just, again, I'm just thankful. I'm thankful. I'm thankful. I'm the type of person that I give props where you got to give it. They say give props when you got it when they do. So I'm the type of person. I'm thankful for anybody who came on the show. Anybody who saw the vision and said, "Hey, I can get down with that. Let me donate to the show. Hey, I can donate prayer. I can donate money. I can donate whatever to help y'all build what you're building." So anybody who helped us get to this point, I'm thankful for them, because this is a lot of work. We had to come in here when we didn't feel like it. Let me hop back on consistency real quick. It was plenty of times we came in here and we didn't want to be here. We didn't want to be in the studio. We didn't want to be. I wanted to go home because I'm up here all day working. Then I got to sit down for about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, wind down a little bit, and then cut the podcast on when I want to go home. So if you gonna be consistent in anything, it's not the times, it's not getting things done when you feel good or when you have enough strength or enough sleep and you well rested. No. I tell anybody this, if you operate any business, majority of the time you operate that business, you're gonna be operating it probably 75, 80% tired. You're gonna be tired a lot. And if you have a family, if you got a husband, a wife, kids, or you taking care of your parents, or you got somebody extra living with you, you're going to be that much more tired. So you have to decide if this what I want to do, and am I going to put in the work and what it takes to get it done. That's what you have to decide. And if you decide that, then you're going to see the results. You know, a lot of people on social media these days, they front and stun. And my wife said this all the time, and I hear older people say this too. They say, you know, it all come out in the wash. Whoever doing what is gonna come out in the wash. A lot of people, I'm sure they see our podcast, they say, you know, it's not gonna last. You know, but I'm like, you know, you don't know me, you don't know my team, you don't know the God I serve. So I bank on all that. The God I serve, my own hustle and work ethic and grind and get up and go get him, always on mode, and the team I have. So I when you put all that together, that's how you build something spectacular, something big, something great. And that's what we're doing here with the Refill Podcast. Now, what's next for season 2? Let me get back to that. What's next for season 2 is more interviews, more in-depth topics, more events. We're adding a couple of more things to the show. I can't let out the box yet. We're taking a week and a half off after today, so there won't be no show next week. That's the 1st of October, so we won't do no show next week at all. And we taking this time off between the seasons, season 1, season 2, so we can refine some things. Like, you know, we got to get the website done. It's an active website, so we got to get it up and done. We just want to make sure all our social media spots are tightened up. You know what I'm saying? So while we transition from season 1 to season 2, we just in tighten up mode. We just tighten things up. You know, because if we're going to do this, we're going to look professional doing this. We're going to be the best doing this. We're going to look the best doing this. You know, I'm big on that. I'm big on doing things in an excellent way. You know, I tell people all the time, you don't have to be the tallest, the smallest. You don't have to be the strongest. You know, you don't have to be the one that can with the most degrees or they can talk the best in the room. Nothing against all that. You just got to be determined, and you have to believe in yourself, and you have to say, hey, I'm going to make this work, and I'm going to get down, and I'm going to push it until I see the results I'm looking for, the results I envision. That's what I tell anybody. So if you have the work ethic, the hustle for your muscle, if you got all that going on with you, if you're willing to put in the work, you can build anything. People flying out of space now. So when I see that type of stuff, I'm like, man, you know, like they say, anything is possible. So season 2 is coming up. We debuting it October 13th. We got some folks coming on the show I can't even tell y'all about, and I'm not saying that like they say, no cap. I ain't capping. We got some folks we working on right now coming in season 2, man. That you know, it's we've been working on them through season 1, just back and forth talking and DMing and text messaging and all that good stuff, trying to get them on the show. You know, right now it's just scheduling because they're busy. So we're working on bringing them on the show, bringing them on soon. So I can't let that out yet, but we're working on some things. We got something special coming up too. The debut of season 2. I can't let that out yet, but y'all gonna see it. We're gonna put it on. Y'all see the ad and You know, we're creating, you know, the flyer and the ad. We're gonna put that on social media. Y'all see it. But hey, if you're watching, go to the page. Tune in, and watch what we doing. Watch how we get down. Watch what we doing. Right now we close to 400 subscribers, 400 page likes. You know, we trying to get to 1,000. Then when we get to 1,000, we get to 2. We get to 2, we'll get to 5, and so on and so on. So we working, man. We trying to figure this out. We working, we grinding, we planning. We trying to work smart. We trying to give y'all the best product that we can produce and put together. That's what we're trying to do, and that's what we're striving to do. And every artist that came on, man, I'm telling y'all, I'm so appreciative for every artist that came on, because people don't have to get down with what you're doing. They don't. I used to own a barbershop. I used to tell the barbers this all the time. I used to tell them, listen, people drove past 50, 60, 100 barbershops just to come to our barbershop. That means we doing something good. That means they like the environment. They like their haircut. They like to come in, joke and laugh, and they just get a break from work, and they get a break from life for about an hour. Come in and sit with us, and they get some good conversation. They go home feeling better about themselves. That's what we trying to do with this podcast. We want this to be the best 1 hour of your day. You know, so but we gonna work to earn that respect. We're gonna work to earn your respect. And we trying to build this thing and build it big and massive and globally. You know, when we got an artist on from Africa, I said, yeah, we're going in the right direction. To me, if you're into sports, building this is like building an expansion football team. You know, the expansion football team gonna take some losses in the first season because they don't know what's going on. But as they continue to build and continue to build and continue to build, they become a championship team. I remember watching Dallas Cowboys under Jimmy Johnson do that. And they were sorry the first year, second year. By the time they hit the third year, they was a championship team. Fourth year, they did it back-to-back. So, you know, they won back-to-back championships, but we pushing. And we want y'all to, you know, see what we build. So, on that note, man, again, this is the finale to season 1. I didn't want to stay on here too long, but what we're doing, we're pushing, and we're grinding, and we're growing, and we moving around, and we making this thing work. We picking it up, putting it down, and making it hurt, like they say. So, you know, we appreciate everybody, man. Share this video. It don't cost nothing to share a video or to like our page. Share the video. Come on back and give us a try. Give us 2 weeks. Give us 2 shows, and you'll come back. You'll like it. All the podcasts has been inspirational. Each one was different. Each one had a different message in them. And I don't have time to go into all the different topics and messages and themes that I heard throughout each podcast, but each one was different. A lot of artists was talking about how they grind and how they started and how they, you know, when they was going through things, how they managed to come out of it with the help of God, and, you know, they just mentally just pulling themselves out of things. So a lot of the podcasts are good, man. Go on our page, check out the show, see what we're talking about. You know, and if you like what we're talking about, share this on your page, you know, and see what we're doing. So on that note, man, we're going to get off this thing. But before I do, again, if you're an artist and if you want to come on the show, let us know. You'll see some information at the bottom. Send us your information, music, bio, some pictures, music, social media links, short bio, and we put you in the game. If you fit the format, we put you in the game. And also, if you want to donate to the show financially, you'll see some information about VENMO, Cash App, PayPal. It's all scrolling at the bottom. Man, donate to the show. It don't cost nothing. Any amount we do. We've had people donate all type of amounts, and I'm not no cap. Ain't no capping. They donate to the show. They really do, because they watching what we're doing. They like what we're doing. They see what we're doing, and they donate to the show. So I tell anybody, we need money. You got to have money to make money, and you got to in anything. We all go to work for money. So, just remember that and just donate to the show. And last thing is, continue to pray for us that we can go into season 2 even bigger, even better when we debut on October the 13th, because we coming and we building this media business in the Christian hip hop space. We grinding, we working, and we figuring this thing out. So y'all check us out, man. October the 13th, we're gonna debut. That's the debut of season 2, and we're gonna get off this thing, man. And we're gonna holler at y'all next time like we always do. Every show we give y'all the double chomp, boom, boom. And we're gonna get off this thing.